Talk about Missouri's defense you'll be facing, Coach.
Tell you what, they're really good. I think the first thing that stands out to me, they're just a really good overall team defense. They're extremely disciplined. You know, you don't seem to get a lot of cheap ones, which I know has kind of been that defense coordinator's kind of history, a lot of bend but don't break scenarios. But, I mean, they're really disciplined. They're always where they're supposed to be. They're solid tacklers. But what really stands out after that is that front four is really good. I mean, their defensive ends, the Sam kid, Coney Ely, they got the other two guys play just about as much as them. I mean, those guys are really active. I think Sam's leading the league in sacks and tackles for loss. They get after you, and the inside guys are big. They got a couple 6'5" guys that are long. I mean, they're really disruptive. They're violent, explosive. So that front four really, concerns me, to be honest with you. They're really good. They're really good at what they do. That's probably why they're top 2 in the league in rushing and leading the league in sacks. Their linebackers are really good players, solid football players, good instincts. They make plays, and they've been really good on the back end. I think they've got 18 interceptions. So they do a lot of things well. That's why they're 11-1 in the SEC championship game.
Rhett, we've seen be saying the same thing the last 3 games, really, about the defensive lines being, top in the league. And y'all are still getting those yards, getting what you need. What do you attribute to that?
I don't know. We were talking about that today. I think when we played Georgia, they were second in the league. Alabama was first. Now Missouri's moved up to second in the league against the rush. And, this time of year, we've just been playing really good teams. And our offensive line has done a really good job. Pretty much every game this year, we've had success running the football. They've done a really good job on the first level. Not giving up penetration, getting movement at the point of attack, and then Trey and Nick and Cameron and Corey and those guys have done a really good job because they've gotten them 3, 4, 5 yards down the field. They do a really good job at making that first guy miss or reading and pressing off the blocks and stuff. And sometimes even when you maybe don't get to a linebacker and a safety, that gives you guys a chance. But I think a lot of the credit goes to our kids, guys up front. And we've challenged them each week to play physical Auburn football, and I think they've done that.
Can you speak specifically about just the last month with Nick and what he's been doing? And I know Coach Malzahn said that he thinks he should be in a Heisman discussion.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, in a year when I seem to be having trouble deciding who they want to give it to, you look at all the teams that are winning and who's most valuable to their team. I don't think you can say any more about Nick than what he's been able to do to get us to where we're at. He's, no question, our team leader. Our guys believe in him. And he just seems to make play after play after play. I mean, the other night, no turnovers, 3 touchdowns, against, at the time, the #1 defense and #1 team in the country, and big time plays when we needed it. A 3rd down, 45-yard touchdown run, a 2nd down touchdown pass can't be thrown any better. And of course, with 32 seconds left, a touchdown pass to tie the game. So I don't know what all you got to do, but I'm proud of him. He's getting better, and he's obviously much more confident. And he'd be the first to tell you he's more worried about winning this week.
When you look back at that very first drive against Washington State to where he is now, it's night and day. What are your thoughts?
I'll probably look back and reflect a whole lot more here in a couple weeks when we're done, but I do still remember the first snap he ever took. He dropped the snap. So we've probably come a long way, but when you're the kind of young man he is, when you have his character and he's coachable. I mean, there was no ego, there was no laziness. He wants to work hard. He wants to be coachable. He wants to do everything he asks him to do the best he can and win. And then, like I said, he's just got that instinct to be a winner. And he's gotten better and better. And probably around the Ole Miss games when it started to slowly click for him, and he's gotten better each week since then, I think.
It gets lost because of the last play gets lost with that past 32 seconds. It seemed like there's a lot involved that he had to do, from switching hands to the right touch to not going over the line. How hard is that to do?
It's real hard. There was a lot that gets lost in that game the way it ended. I mean, it was a great football game. It was 28-all, about to go to overtime. I thought it was a really good game. But, we had ran the play on 3rd and 2 before. We had 3 timeouts. That was a luxury we had. And anytime you have that allows you to call plays differently because you can run the ball if you need to. And that keeps the defensive coordinator has to call things differently too because he knows you can stop the clock. And we got it on 3rd and 2 with 50 seconds, or I don't know what it was. It was getting low. But we were around the 35, and we knew we were about to have to start throwing it. But Nick handed the ball, probably because it was 3rd and 2 more than anything, but he looked over at us and was like, hey, run that again. Like, he saw it. Like, I know I can keep it. I saw, and we had seen the corner kind of fall off of Sammy, and then he knew he could keep it. So, we called it again, and I remember saying something to Coach about the time, and we were going to call a timeout probably after that play. But, when you got a player like that, he's in the game. When he sees it and feels it, you trust him, and you're ready to play. But, yeah, to have the ball in your left hand and pull up and get it in your right, I'd like to say that that's coaching, but that's just a heck of a play.
Talk about what, I guess, the luxury is to have a guy like Trey who has explosiveness, does all those things.
Yeah.
29 carries against Alabama, no negative yards. He kind of always seems to find a way to get positive yards.
It does. He always falls forward. He has incredible balance. I mean, a couple of those 4th and 1s this year, I mean, the balance he's had, incredible. The long run he had, I mean, he had incredible balance to make that run. And it just goes hand in hand. He can get through the smallest creases. He's just patient enough and can explode when it's there. And it goes back to the line. We don't, they've done a great job of not giving up penetration, which gets him started. And with a great running back like him, you get him started, good things are going to happen. But that's our challenge this week because the way Missouri's defensive line is, they're very disruptive. So we're going to have to be as good as ever up front of staying on those down guys and give them a chance.
Is there anything pass protection wise that maybe an easy fix for you guys going forward? 'Cause they had 3 sacks.
Yeah, the 3 sacks. The first one was a protection bust. I mean, Trey just his fundamentals were off and let the guy inside of him. We had everybody accounted for, and he just let the guy inside, and Nick wasn't really able to escape it. The second one, they just only brought 5 guys, and it was man-to-man, so Nick was sliding him in the pocket to take off running. He would have probably ran for a while, and he just let the guy trip him up. I mean, very rarely does that happen. A guy just grabbed his ankle and him go down. So that would be on him. And then the third one, they got us. I mean, they brought a blitz that we were hot, and that happens. And they had the right call on at the right time, and it got us. So, of all those 3, the first 2 are fixable. You protect it, better and do what you're coached to do. The second one, Nick's just got to, make a play, which he normally does. And the third one, they got us. So I feel good about where we are protection-wise still. I mean, like I said, that's one of the best blitzing defenses in the country. So, but the negative plays hurt us. I think we had 27 lost yards on sacks.
Rhett, Gus credited you and your relationship with Nick, for his development and the offense's development. What is it about that relationship? I mean, can you kind of speak to how it's grown in the last several months?
Well, it's like any relationship. The longer you're around, the more trust you have, and just the better feel for people, and the better you know them. But it all goes back. He's been coachable. I mean, from day one, whether you're teaching him something early on, or whether you're getting onto him and ripping him, or however it is you're doing it, he responds well all the time. He's always respectful, yes or no, sir. And not only does he respond right, but then his actions, follow it. He's very rarely have you had to tell him something twice. And so I give him all that credit from being coachable and then just having the will and the desire to try to get better. I mean, you look at the last 2 ball games, when we needed to make throws, he made throws. He made really good throws, very efficient. So he knows he'll have to keep doing that, but you can tell he's working on it and he's getting a lot better. So I think just time and feeling more comfortable around each other, I guess.